Welcome back, Strong Lung fan. Sorry to be gargly. I was just pretending to be one of the Blob princesses. That's actually who we're on now today. Now this battle takes place on an interchange. Yeah, they're adorable, but evil, just like the other Lunerboonies. This episode opens in outer space yet again with the Dream Gate opening, and we see like three gooey orbs coming through the Dream Gate, and then they crash land right next to an interchange, and then Hacker rushes to Fango's house while Fango's just listening to music. Or no. I have a better idea. Let's say he was just watching TV, not listening, and his friends, he was watching a movie. He just tells Hacker not now. Hacker says, he tries to tell Fango that, Hacker tries to tell Fango that the Dream Gate opened, and Fango says, "Not now, Hacker. I'm busy." And then he says, "I was gonna tell you that something came through the Dream Gate." And then which makes Hacker a little frustrated because Fango he just told him to hold on. He says, "Well, I'm watching this right now. Whatever you want, I'll get you what you want, or do what you want me to do." Okay, and then that's when we see that. Yeah, we see that and that's when we cut to the where the Blob princesses crash landed on Earth. We see that there's a person. We see there's people who didn't notice it. Some people who already entered the interchange freeways. There was one person who was reading his newspaper while everyone was stopped due to the gooey balls that they saw while other people didn't see them. And then while there's this guy in a pink car, this old yellow cylinder looking dude, and when he looks ahead of him, and he says, "What the?" Yeah, you see he's shocked, and then that's when we cut to what's in front of him. We see that all three of the Blob princesses rises from the ground, making this sound. And everyone is shocked by the Blob princesses. And then he's like, and then there's a dude, and there's a purple, rectangular prism or whatever they're called. This guy, and then in a green station wagon, and then that's when he sees the Blob princesses right behind him, or barely behind him, but more next to him. That's when we see him honking his horn, saying he's trying to get people to go because he says, "Dude, move it! I want to get out of here!" Yeah, that's what he's like. He doesn't say anything. Some people gets out of their cars, and they see, and then the Blob princesses. Yeah, we see that some people are out of their cars, but after we see the guy honking his horn trying to get out of traffic so he can, before he gets hurt, or the Blob princesses Yeah, you know what I mean. He wants to get out of here so he doesn't get hurt. He's trying to honk his way out of traffic so the Blob princesses don't hurt anyone, especially, well, so he doesn't get hurt. And then that's when we cut. And as he's honking his horn, and then that's when, and after we see him honking his horn, we cut to them. We cut to the Blob princesses themselves, and we see they glare and nod their heads like no. And then the first thing we see them destroy is one of the overpasses. and like some people, everybody starts going, and then he just drives, and then he just turns around, and then the dude who was honking his horn said, everybody starts going, and then including the dude, and then some of them, yeah. The dude who was honking his horn, we cut to the point of view of his windshield, like his windshield's point of view, and then we see a few other cars get whacked by the blue one. Yeah, the red one's who destroys the overpass. So we see there's more chaos. The blue one wipes a few cars off the freeway, and we see that everyone, including the guy in the green station wagon, immediately leaves before the Blob princesses gets them. And then that's when we cut back to Fango and his friends watching TV, just minding their own business. Then that's when they were watching sports. And then that's when we see them doing something else they like. They're watching let's say they were watching that Destruction Derby show, like same one they were watching in the Urkin episode, the one before the one that I did before this one. Yeah. And he's just watching it, and he just doesn't even realize. We see that he's still distracted. And then we cut to Hacker saying, Fango, come on! Something! The dream gate open! Fango! And we see that Fango. We see that Fango. And that's when we see Fango having the time of his life. And that's when we see Spoonie and Crawley. He says, let's listen to some music. And that's when they turn on some music, and then they start dancing. We see Hacker still trying to get their attention. This is actually funny because they're distracted with music, not realizing that there's the Blob princesses destroying stuff around the interchange, including parts of the interchange itself. And then we just see how much chaos they're creating. And that's when we see Linus the meatball just minding his own business. He stopped at a red light, and then that's when we see the traffic light get splatted by parts of the blue Blob princess, and that's when we see the green ones like ooze right like over like Linus's bus, like the bus he's driving, it oozes right over the bus, like it gets like we see the slime, it gets on the roof of it and on the sides. We see a few other cars, it's oozing onto those cars as well. And we see he's smiling until he notices the goo from one of the Blob princesses oozing on to his bus. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's like one, I think it's called a smash cut. I think that's what a smash cut is. We see a few cuts of Fangy and Fango dancing. We see a few cuts of Hacker trying to get their attention still, and we see a few cuts of the like of the Blob princesses like causing chaos around the interchange. There's also a few more interchanges. Let's say this battle was going on in in New Worth, Strong Lungs, yeah, you know, New Worth, or maybe let's say this one was actually going on in Cransboro. Or maybe Cookie Brook. Cookie Brook's a big city in Strong Lungs too, so is Cransboro. Well, it's not, Cransboro isn't that big. Cookie Brook's like a lot bigger than that. Or like it's like I wouldn't say a lot, just like much, like just a little bigger than Cransboro. It does have a lot of skyscrapers as well. And then that's when we see the Blob princesses. We see them like just destroying everything. Yeah, they're so adorable, but they're destructive. And we just see like a whole bunch of cuts of, and we see him like ordering pizza. We see he orders pizza. They buy food. We see Spoonie. We cut to a scene where Spoonie's getting fast food. He says hi to Hacker. He says, and then Hacker says, "Hey, thank goodness." He says, "Spoonie, I need to tell you something." And he says, "Not now, Hacker. I gotta get myself some food." And then we see him get into his orange SUV. And then he drives off in it. And then Hacker says, "Oh, for cartoon's sakes." We see he's upset, and then we cut back to the Blob princesses going crazy. We see they actually splat like a few cars. Let's say they splat it. They caught and they grabbed a blue, a red, like a blue. Let's say they grabbed an orange, a green, and a yellow and a yellow car, like an orange, a green, like a. Let's say she grabbed 3 colors, which was purple, yellow, purple, yellow, and yeah, she grabbed like those 3 colored cars. She goes like, the red one caught those ones, and then she threw them into. Let's say we see them like she throws them behind her into the Strong Lungs River, which also goes through Cookie Brook. It goes through Sock Gate, Cookie Brook, and of course Green Ridge, but it also goes through Crown Rapids. It also goes through Hammer Valley and St. Albert. It goes through it also goes through Phone Bay and St. Alburn. Yeah. There's not only pretty much even goes through Bald Creek and Rogue Falls. And it also goes through Jade Forest and Heartland. And then that's when all the other places pretty much just has lakes and ponds. Let's say let's say they threw them, and then they throw the 3 cars. Let's say they threw them into a lake behind them, and then let's say there was let's say there was a purple, yellow, and orange, and then she throws, first she grabs a red tanker truck and crushes a blue and green, a green pickup truck and blue, let's say it's a blue minivan, and then the tanker truck lands on them and then explodes, and then she throws the 3 other. The blue one grabs the tanker truck, the red one grabs the 3 cars, and then we see, and that's when we see the red one throws 3 other colored cars behind her into a lake, and then we see the green one throw a bus into. And then we see them throw a bus into a clock tower, and she's like, and they roar again, but or no, they roared quite a few times in this one, and it's crazy. And then and then we cut back to Fango, and then we cut to Spoonie, like and then he grabs the fast food and he brings them in. He says, "Hey guys!" He also grabs pizza, and then we see when he enters the house, and then we see Hacker says, "Spoonie, wait!" And then Spoonie says, "Not now! We got a party going on." And then Hacker says, not for crushing out loud." Yeah, the reason why they say that crushing means like falling in. It's like a way the strong lung says falling out loud. I'm not falling, like falling in love. That's like how the strong lung says falling in love. Like when they crush someone, it means they fall in love with them. But yeah, that's like a strong lung language. They don't. It's like short for saying falling in love. Like when they say you crush someone, they mean like somebody falls in love with someone and they laugh and laugh and oh, they don't laugh. He just says, for crushing out loud, what am I gonna do? Why can't they listen to me? And then we see and then Sweeney says, look what I got. And then they say, oh boy. He says, or we see Doggy say, oh yeah, baby. Or maybe let's say what was Platy's clone again? I forgot. Or Spotty, that's his name. Spotty says, oh yeah, baby. And we see that Hacker is just like, he's like putting his hands on his head, like, oh. Because he's getting really frustrated with Fango not listening to him. We see more chaos that the that the Blob princesses are causing. We see there's the military trying on the interchange, trying to defeat them. We see that they're being shot. We see they knock all the tanks off the interchange. They knock the fighter jets out of the sky. And then they crash, and then there's this big explosion. They do the same with the helicopters and the Humvees. They actually grab a fire truck. Let's say the blue one grabs a fire truck and throws it at an incoming. Let's say the red one grabs the fire truck. Well, yeah, she grabs the fire truck and throws it at the incoming fighter jets. Or maybe the blue one should be the one who grabs the fire truck. I think the blue one should grab the fire truck, and then she grabs the fire truck, throws it at the fighter jets, and the fire truck actually hits one of the left turn signal water towers and knocks it over. It actually explodes once it, when it hits the water tower, and it goes, pew! And then the water tower couldn't handle, and the support of the water tower couldn't handle the fire truck hitting it, so therefore it falls over. And then let's say the fire truck knocked a cell tower into the water tower. We see the water tower let's say she threw there was a cell tower next to the water tower, and once the fire truck let's say the fire truck actually hit the water tower, but then it hits let's say it hits the cell tower, and then it explodes, and then the cell tower falls on the water tower, and then the water tower, and then it pushes the water tower over, and then they go, pew! And then let's say maybe one of the Lunerboonies would have done that. We see that happen with the red, Blob princess. Well, the blue one just hits the water tower with the fire truck, and then the water tower falls over once the fire truck hits it. And then we see that the red one hits a cell tower that's right next to a left turn signal water tower. We don't get to that part yet, and that's when we cut to after the fire truck hits that one water tower. We see that Hacker is saying, "Guys, come on!" He's smacking the door. They can't even hear the knocking because the music's so loud. They have it up so loud. And it's like, and then that's when we see the red one grab a garbage truck. And she grabs that's when she grabs a dump truck and throws it and she throws it at a microwave tower, or let's say she throws a dump truck into like this like these signs. I think they are called EMS signs, or no, that's not what they're called. You know how like these signs, they say tell you the law, and then they hit, and then she throws the let's say she throws a dump truck into another tower. Let's say it was like a cell, or let's say she just throws the garbage truck. I'm trying to think what she should throw the garbage truck at. Let's say she throws it at, or actually it was a dump truck. She throws a dump truck at a chimney, and then it explodes. And then the chimney falls over. And then, because it was at a paper mill, and then we see her. And then we see her knock, destroy a left turn signal water tower by knocking a cell tower onto it. And the cell tower was so strong, it just literally knocks over the water tower when it hits it, and then they both fall across the intersection. And that's when we see a truck crash, and we see like a pile up, and then it causes a pile up. We see a whole bunch of like police cars showing up. We see there's a lot of police cars, and when we see there's a police car there's a police car and a taxi and like 3 other cars. There's a purple car, a green car, and an orange car, and there's also a semi, and there's also a truck that crashes into it. Let's say that's the garbage truck that hits that's in this episode. And then that's when we see the green one grab a school bus and crushes another bus with it. It's actually a green metro bus. And then she crushes it with the school bus. And then, or actually let's say it was a green tanker truck she crushed, and then they both explode. And but it's not over yet. That's when we see Faye, and that's when we see Hacker, and that's when we see that they're still dancing. And then after all that, we see that when the strong lungs are done, we see that the music that they're listening to slowly stops, and that's when we see them we see Hacker start to stop talking. We see that Hacker, after they're done talking, he says, and then we hear him banging on the door, shouting Fango's name. He says, "Fango!" And Fango says, "Uh-oh, Hacker's calling me. Oh no, I think Hacker really needs me. That's probably why he was talking to me. He's trying to get my attention, and I think he was trying to tell me that there is another Lunerboonie." That's when we hear Fango tell Hacker. He asks Hacker, and then he apologizes to him for ignoring him. And then he asks Hacker if there's a Lunerboonie situation going on, and he tells him yes, please. He says, "Yeah, there is. Please get out there quick because it's going crazy, and there's these 3 Blob princesses attacking an interchange, and you gotta get out there fast. It's going on in Crayons or Cookie Brook. Yeah, it's going on in Cookie Brook. He tells them where they're going crazy, and then that's when he gets in his mecha suit. Let's say this mecha suit was. Let's say he gets in a mecha suit that has like snail type eyes. It's kind of like a snail like mecha suit, and then we see that it's got like antennas, like it's got like snail eye. It's like a slug type robot. Well, it's got like slug eyes, and then when it realizes there's trouble, it suddenly we see that Fango suddenly shows up, and then when the Blob Princesses knows him, they start throwing stuff at him, like a whole bunch of utilities and vehicles, and and then we see that Fango defends himself by shooting them with a mouth rocket. We see the mouth of the robot. Actually, we see it. He shoots rockets out of the robot's mouth. Like 3 of them, and each one hits each Blob Princess, and they get mad. And that's when we see him. We see the robot also has a sword, and he tries to, he fights them, but suddenly we see that one of them eats Fango's sword, and then it swallows it, and then it drags Fango into its mouth, and we see her drag Fango, like him in his mecha suit, into her mouth. That's when we see Spoonie and Crawly show up, coming to help in their mecha suits, which are also like the same type of mecha suit as Fango's, but a different color. But then the other 2 Blob Princesses grabs them and swallows them. And after they put them in their mouths and swallow them whole, we see Fango struggling inside the red Blob Princess's body. And we see him trying to break out. Same with Crawly in the green Blob Princess's body, and Spoonie in the blue Blob Princess's body. He says, "We need to get out!" Ugh! But they are just tightly stuck in there. Fango tries using the laser eyes, but they don't work. Well, actually, let's say they do work. And then they vomit. And then, Fango uses his laser eyes. He says, "I'm out. What did you do? I used my laser eyes. But I'm gonna get you out next." I didn't hear what you say," said Spoonie. "Neither did I," said Crawly. Yeah, Crawly says it too. He just says, "Neither did I." That's what Crawly says, and then that's when Fango grabs 3 billboards, he aims it for each Blob Princess, and he hits their like energy core, or like the core that keeps her alive. He hits it with the billboard, and then she's like, "Ah!" and then same with the other girls, and then suddenly they grab onto their chest. And then suddenly they burst into. That's when they all 3 of them burst, and we see Spoonie and Crawly come out of the green one and blue one, and we see all the goo that they were made of go everywhere, and they're like, yeah, it's raining goo, and everybody cheers for them, and then they go home. Yeah, it's like, and that's when Fango says, "Next time, let's not play music so loud, because Hacker might really need our attention." And then after they return home, that's when the governor shows up with the reward. He says, "But Governor, I haven't made it home yet." He says, "Oh, come on, man, just take it." He says, "Okay, fine." And then the episode ends with him just saying, "Okay, fine." It's a pretty silly ending. Crazy. It's funny. Sorry. Just trying to do an outro for this now. But anyway, yeah. That's how the episode ends.